Hi Raju, hi Shafi. So we'll start session in couple of minutes. Meanwhile, if anyone have questions, doubts, we can ask me. Anyone, any questions? No questions, guys. Monish, Raju.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, Shafi. Tell me.
Yeah, just right. Hope you did not start.
Shafi, you have any questions?
No, sir. Nothing as of now. I
Sorry,
think
I'm
today
not
will.
able to hear you.
No, sir. Nothing as of now. I think today we'll start with
We'll
again.
start session in couple of minutes.
Okay.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
Ritik, start recording once you are.
sure. I'll start the record. Yeah. Let's wait for 1 or 2 more minutes and we'll get started. By the time, if you have any questions or maybe you had any doubts until yesterday, um, feel free to ask. By the time we can go through the doubts.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ramesh.
Sir, actually, I have a doubt. Actually, one doubt.
Uh-huh.
To become a data analyst,
Uh-huh.
should we go for? I mean, should we learn Python, sir? Is it mandatory?
Okay. See, Python is also one programming language which can be used to for more a kind of database related aspects.
Okay, sir.
Now, it is not compulsory that you should learn data if you're into BI analysis or data analysis rule. It is not compulsory to learn that. The only question is if you know Python, it would be added advantage, right? So, I mean, that's the reason we never include Python in the data analyst. There is a reason, right? We never include. It is always a part of data engineering and it is always a part of data science because without Python, there is no DE or DS roles.
Because before I come to KSR, I have gone through some other institutes,
Okay.
and so during the course, I mean, they had given some course curriculum and they had included Python in the data analyst. So only I'm asking.
See, I mean, you might have gone through that institute's brochure. It might be a complete different. How long was it? Was it a 5 months or 6 months
Yeah,
course?
it was completely 6 months.
Yeah. So if at all it's a 6 months course, then it might include Python. It might include many other technical skills, which is more a bunch of all the technical sources, right? You do data analytics, you do data science. It's a combination of everything.
Okay.
But here we bifurcated, right? If you specifically want to data science, I mean, if you want to get insights or if you want to get expertise in data science, there is a separate course. And we never clubbed all these together in one single, what you call a single course only or a single entity, right? For data science, we have different. For data engineering, also we have a different course.
So Python is not mandatory, but
Not
if we
mandatory.
have, it will be added advantage. That's it, right?
Yeah, it's just an added advantage. It is not mandatory because you'll not be using any big data concepts. You'll not be using any combination of Spark or continuous data processing is not required, right? Here, what we get data from different sources. End of the day, we would be using that data for reporting or for analysis.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to ask. Maybe I'll also wait for 1 more minute.
Hello.
Yes, Kathy.
Yes, in yesterday's session, I was unable to understand difference between data warehouse and data mart. Could you please explain that?
I guess we discussed it. Maybe I'll again rediscuss it.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'll go through. Okay, no other questions. Let's get started then. Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Sir, no, we cannot see your screen.
Mhm. Just give me a second. It is loading, it seems. Yeah, let me know once you're able to see, right?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, good. So maybe just to go back and just let revise what we have seen yesterday, or more a kind of important points, what we have gone through yesterday. So we have gone through data lake, we have gone through data warehouse, we have gone through data mart and what is database. The key differences between these four important storage factors or storage components which are present in the more a kind of data, right? End of the day, the data needs to be stored at some location, right? So how do you store them? In what kind of what kind of options are available? We have seen yesterday. Now, you might also have a small confusion that how data mart is, correlated with the data warehouse. You might have easily understood, you might have some doubts. Now, in order to clarify that, see, how do you understand what's the data warehouse is? The best example is if you are considering your own um, cupboard. You have a cupboard, right? You have Almira in your house. So if you're considering that example, Almira is your data warehouse. It's simply your data warehouse, right? You have a cupboard. Maybe usually women have a better arranged cupboard where all the materials, where all his, for all her clothes, all the jewelry, everything is correctly segregated. If you take that example, there are different in a cupboard. There are different racks, right? Now let's suppose you are You have one rack for all your normal clothes which you use on day-to-day basis. You have one rack for all the clothes which are very special, right? You wear it on a special occasion. You have all the clothes which you wear it for your office use or for your college or maybe for education purpose. You have all that clothes in one single rack. Maybe you have some jewelry which is kept in one specific corner. You have some cosmetics which are kept in some specific corner. So different racks, different corners have similar set of data, but all this data is combined together to form a one single warehouse. So that single data sets or single factors which we are considered, right? Maybe the rack which contains all the normal clothes, all the special clothes,
Hey, hi
or
Ritesh.
say
Sorry
the.
to disturb you. So,
Mhm.
able to see your screen.
Uh-huh. You're not able to see?
Yes, KSR Data Vision Private Limited has paused screen sharing. Like now I am able to see. Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. Now we are able to
Okay.
see yours.
So in that case, oh, my bad. It seems there is some network issue, but that's fine. Huh. So again, coming to the discussion, what we have done. So wherever you see that similar set of data is called as a data mart. And all the data marts combine together to form as a data warehouse, a single data warehouse. Right. So again, in order to simplify that, data warehouse is mostly structured, but there is also a possibility that it can contain unstructured data. Whereas all the data marts have similar set of data arranged together, which combines, right? If there are 10 data marts, that 10 data marts combine together to form a one single data warehouse. That's the ideal behavior of data mart and data warehouse. Both are interrelated. Data mart is part of a data warehouse. So it is not separately kept. It itself is a part of data warehouse. Right? And data lake is purely unstructured. It is totally raw data. And if you're considering any example, right? Maybe I just want to compare any example. The best example would be the amount of data which it can store. Right? Different components can store different ways or different kinds of data. So the amount of information it can store. So if you're considering a data lake can store 1 TB of information. Yes, it can easily store, but it is totally unstructured. Whereas the amount of data which data warehouse can store is slightly lesser than 1 TB, or it cannot store exactly 1 TB because data lake is way more big than data warehouse. It's very vast. So if you're comparing data warehouse, it can store somewhere around 500 GB. That is possible, right? Two data warehouses can combine together to form a data lake. Yes, that is a possibility. And data mart itself is a part of data warehouse, right? So you can say that there are 50 GB, 10 different data marts combined together to form a one single data warehouse. Even that could be possible case. But if you're coming back to the database, which is purely structured, right? Now, in order to communicate with the database only, we try to use SQL. SQL is our interactive language, which you can communicate with the database. So database is never of 50 GB or even 25 GB. The size of databases are comparatively small. Yes, if you want to increase the size, what you have to do, you have to create a new database. So usually databases sizes are less than 50 or maybe somewhere around 20 GB or 10 GB. That kind of databases are generated. So you can easily find the difference, right? How data lake is vast, how data warehouse is comparatively less than data lake. Data mart itself is a part of data warehouse, and databases are very small in nature. Small means compared to data lake. 20 GB is not a small data, but compared to data lake that are very small in nature. That's the ideal difference between all four components. I mean, we have seen it in a detailed manner, in an insights manner yesterday. But just to again go back and revise how these components are related, I've gone through it. Right.
Sir,
So
can we say that data lake is a data warehouse?
sometimes, not every time,
Not every okay.
because data warehouse is also structured. Right? Data lake is purely unstructured.
Oh, raw data. Okay, I see.
right? Not every time, sometimes you can say.
Okay. So then how to convert that raw data to structured data?
We use ETL, right? We use some
ETL. I
ETL
see.
processes between.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
So from data lake to data warehouse also we use ETL. From data warehouse to database also we use ETL. We do all the transformations in between, and we try to make sure that the data is pretty clean and it can be used for our further analysis or maybe for reporting.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let me open the yesterday's discussion. So we have paused at a point, at a step, which what is OLTP and what is OLAP, right? So let's discuss this as well.
Sir, a small doubt. Sorry. Sir, you said the data mart already it is completely purely structured, right? So that means if we want to make any Power BI report, can we fetch the data directly from data mart?
We can, because data mart is a part of data warehouse. So if you're opening a cupboard, you want to get some product, or maybe you want to get some clothes out of it. You directly visit that rack and you open the, you get that clothes, right? We can, right? If you're able to connect a Power BI report to a data warehouse, that doesn't mean it is always connected to data warehouse. Data warehouse is the outer structure. Inner structure are data marts. Any other questions? Good that your people are asking questions, because these are very common. You should know the background of it, right? The basics of it. Now coming to the point of OLTP and OLAP, right? Now we have seen a small insight, maybe a small idea. We have gone through it yesterday, but in a broader picture, what is OLTP? OLTP is the information which is frequently getting updated. Whatever information is getting changed, it has to update within few seconds, or maybe sometimes minutes also, but it has to update. It cannot wait for a certain duration. It has to update. And usually the information is getting updated here. Update means whatever information is there. Let's suppose there is a account balance of 10K, right? And 5K has been withdrawn. So the account balance of 10K has been reduced to 5K because 5K has been withdrawn from the ATM. But in case of OLAP, which is online analytical processing, it uses mostly a big data, right? These are all big data concepts, more a kind of warehouse or data lake house or data lake. All these components will come into picture. But if you're considering OLTP, almost all the databases are part of OLTP, all the database, because databases are small in size, purely structured, it's compact, and it has to be updated on a frequent basis. It has to change immediately. That information has to be updated. In case of OLAP, the updates are rare. The information, because it's a big data, right? So what is the best example of OLAP is the data which changes by a course of time. Now, a course of time means if you are considering any age, a person born on 12th of August, maybe in 1990, so his current age would be 35. But after 1 year exactly, maybe next year, 12th of August 1991, his age will automatically change. That it would be 36. So the information which is getting changed during the course of a time, it is not frequently updating. It will change over a course of a time. And even if it is getting changed, it would not be updated. The information will be re-added as a new record. Right. So moreover, OLAP systems are the data which is getting added. It will add a new data. Rather updating, it will add a new data. that's how the information flows in OLAP. OLAP is not getting updated frequently. It will not update. It will just add a new record that there is a changed record. So that is moreover called as a OLAP systems, right? So we'll not focus more on OLAP because these systems are more a kind of data engineering folks who has to focus, because I mean, these people, data engineering folks, will get the data from data lakes and data warehouses, and then they try to clean it in between. Now, we will see how an ETL process happens going further, but our main focus would be on OLTP systems, which is more a kind of relational database management. Now, why is it called as RDBMS? Now, there is a concept, right? What is DBMS? What is RDBMS? Why is it called as? We'll go through these concepts also. But prior jumping into it, as I've said, OLTP systems are getting updated frequently and OLAP systems are not getting updated frequently. Over a course of time, it will add a new record. Rather than update, it will add a new record. Now, any questions again?
Sir, since OLTP says that online transaction processing, so it should always be, since it's transaction, some monetary should be involved in it, right?
Yes. Yes. Frequent monitoring is important because it is getting updated, right?
No, I'm not saying monitoring. Since it's saying transaction, it's like any monetary value is like it is mandatory that there will always be some monetary value included in this kind of record that gets updated.
It is not always a monetary value. It can be a different value. I mean, if a person is moving from one city to different city and he wants to also move that account. So if a person is moving to a different city, that means that account information has to be updated immediately, right? Because he's accessing from a different city. His branch is also moved. His home branch is also shifted to different city. I mean, change of location is not a monetary value, right? Not always monetary. Monetary is the best example. The value which I've said it is the best example. But there are some other examples which is not related to monetary information. It can be a general information. Okay. Any other questions on OLTP and OLAP? So if there are no questions, just give me. Now, this is what the difference says, that what is OLTP and what is OLAP. The basic difference between OLTP and OLAP, I've just listed down the characteristics, how the OLTP and OLAP system works. See, if you are considering online transactional processing, it is characterized by short online transactions. It is not always online. You can say that, right? There is a functionality. You can just say that it is characterized by large number of short transactions. Now, what is large number of short transactions? The data is getting updated frequently. It can be many times the data is getting updated, right? If you hold a good bank account and if it's a shared account, right? If it's a joint account and if there are 3 people using that. So all 3 people are doing transactions on day-to-day basis. The number of transactions will be more, right? So it would be characterized by more number of short online transactions. And it is mostly related to modifying the information, you see, database modifying the system. So, and OLTP, as I've said, it always uses traditional DBMS, which is nothing but the databases, right? Database management systems. Usually the respond time, right? Whatever we are doing in OLTP, the respond time is very fast. This is the most important factor, the last point. Respond time is in milliseconds. And OLAP, respond time is mostly in minutes, not even in seconds. It is mostly in minutes because the data is very vast, right? So it will take some minutes, few seconds in the sense maybe anything greater than 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 120 seconds, or maybe 100 seconds. So usually it will take some time to understand and then get the data from the OLAP systems, which is more related to data warehouses or data lakes. Right. So that's how OLAP is characterized. It is characterized by a large volume of data. It is very large volume of data. Now, one of the best example of OLAP, if I just go back, I mean, every person who is present here or maybe who is attending this session, they might have used Zomato, they might have used Swiggy, or they might have used any delivery app. It might be Blinkit, it might be Zepto. There are many delivery apps, right? Now, you might have used that. Every app sends some notification. Now, what is that notification? How that notification is derived? I'm not sure if you people have ever compared if you own an Android phone and if you own an iPhone, right? The iOS. Usually the price differences is also you can easily compare. iPhone has certainly increased prices if you're comparing Blinkit also. If you're comparing Uber, right? Uber, which is a cab booking app, any apps which you consider, there will be change of charges if you're using iPhone, and there will be change of charges if you're using Android. And every person will have different offers. Some might have 50% off, some might have 20% off. Now, how that is characterized? That is characterized by their previous history. Let's suppose I'm using Zomato since last 5 years and I frequently order on Zomato, maybe thrice a week or almost every day in the week. For me, the number of offers will be very low because Zomato knows that even if there are offers or if there are no offers, this person is going to order for sure. Maybe he'll skip 1 day or 2 days a week, but usually 5 days or 4 days or 5 days a week, he usually tries to order. So that is how the analysis is done. By going to your previous history, they will check. Now, previous history is of not 5 months or 5 days or even 5 weeks. The previous history, they'll always go back and check for last 5 years how frequently this person is ordering. Now, a person who is not frequently ordering, maybe he is ordering once a week or maybe once a month also, for him, the number of offers would be more because they push him to order frequently, right? That's the business, right? That's how businesses deal. That's how they improve their business. So whenever you are considering any historical data, historical means a long chunk of information can be captured. In that case, you can call it as OLAP systems. Right? So wherever there is a historical trend, wherever there is a historical information being analyzed, it is called as online analytical processing. But the data which is real time, currently, right? You might have to go back -5 days or -5 hours. In that case, it is called as OLTP. OLTP systems, I mean, it was not purely historical because even 5 days you can consider as history. But it is not purely historical, right? We are just going -5 days or -5 hours. Whereas OLAP, we can go back -5 years also. That's the idea difference between how time frame. Yeah.
I have a question. The interesting thing which you just pointed out is about this example of getting the data from the data warehousing system and then send out an email. Further extend to my curiosity there is how let's say for example, if a user is have let's say 3 or 4 or 5 items in the shopping cart and forget, and then the next day I got an email saying, okay, you have 3 or 4 times still in the shopping cart, go and purchase, right? Something like that kind of emails I've seen. And in this example also, where you mentioned that if the user is frequently purchasing the delivery from Zomato, they are going to get the, so how that completely is it a completely automated or somebody, I'm sure it must be an automated, because there are millions of users whom this Zomato is sending the this kind of discounted emails, right? So how that is being picked up, how that process is automated with respect to one is obviously the data is out there, they are massaging the data, but whether it's a part of the CI/CD process which automatically goes check the each individual cards and then send out the email to the associated email address, or how is that actually? Just
Okay,
curious.
so it is not purely CI/CD. CI/CD is more a kind of deployment, right? We are not deploying anything here.
Mhm.
See, whenever you add a product to cart, they have a model. There is a data science model which is prepared at their end. They'll see how much time have you kept that items in a cart, right? Usually, if a person wants to buy something, he will add that product to cart and maybe he'll wait for 1 hour, 2 hour, or 5 hours. By that
Mhm.
time, he should purchase that product. So if the item is present in the cart for next 5 hours or even more than 5 hours, that means you are hesitant to buy, right? You are not yet decided, or maybe there is some factor which is pushing you not to buy. So they'll try to give you some additional discount is the most important factor, right? Let's suppose you are purchasing a product which is costing you 1,000, and if they give a discount of 10%, 900, it is beneficial for you. You always think on that point of. So companies always analyze how long are you keeping that products. Now, it is not only that they will always, right? I mean, I follow the same thing. I'm not sure how many of you verified or how many of you understood, or maybe how many of you have tried this. Whenever you add some products in the Zepto's cart, it usually gives you some discounts if you keep it for 2 hours or 3 hours, next 2 hours or 3 hours, which used to be a trend. Nowadays, it has changed. How? Right? I mean, Zepto people understood that every time a person wants to buy something, he'll keep that product in the cart for 2 hours. And anyways, the Zepto system detects that the products are in the cart for next 2 hours. They'll give you some discount. But nowadays, they're also giving discount. They didn't remove the discount option, but they have added some additional option is how frequently you are purchasing, even if you are waiting or even if you're keeping the products in a cart for 2 hours. Let's suppose Zepto is giving you some 10% discount. Yes, you will purchase. But Zepto is not giving you 10% discount. That means you're not purchasing, but still you keep that products in a cart for 2 hours just to make sure whether I get a new discount or not. So even they have added one more case for it, one more, I mean, you can say one more logic behind it, that are you really purchasing or not? There are many people who add the products to the cart and they'll never purchase. Just for sake they'll add, they'll never purchase. So for every possible case, they'll try to go back and identify what could be the best factor which we can go back and analyze. So more the analysis, more will be the OLAP process, because OLAP stands itself for analytical process. OLTP is very frequent. OLTP cannot be used here. OLTP can be used for the transaction. If you purchase that product, it goes to a payment gateway. If the amount is debited, instantly it would be debited. If the amount is not debited, if there is a payment failure, in that case, it will not debit. The order will not succeed. That's it. That is OLTP.
So does that mean that once the data is onboarded from various sources to the OLAP in the data warehouse, that means that this particular data warehousing software, whether it's Synapse or some other EMR or whatever, and then the data science team has already have access to it, and that's how they are running all this kind of so that falls under the data science, or is it falls under the data warehousing or a data engineering kind of role?
The analysis of data which is not yet generated, for that it is data science. Analysis of data which is already completed, that means you have purchased, you want to analyze the data for last 5 years, in that case data analyst role will come. You want to analyze whether the person is really able to purchase or not, that is where the data science team will come. The data which is already done and dusted, for them, the data analyst will come into picture. The data
So
which has to be generated.
So then, a good point you made. How then data science team will know from where they query actually that in the shopping cart there are, let's say, out of 10 million there may be 1 million users who have something in the cart. So how they determine from where they capture the data that okay, there are 1 million users have something in their shopping cart? Database?
It cannot be database every time, right? As I've said, it is always going back to the database. Database can contain 5 months of history. If they check 5 months, that is more than enough. If they want to check whether they want to go back and see all the previous 5 years of information, they have to go to the data warehouse. Any other question?
Thank you.
Good. So if there are no questions, I assume that you might have got a very good understanding of this OLTP and OLAP systems. And that's how these systems work, right? That's how the OLTP and OLAP are particularly analyzed. So you have to be very crystal clear that if there is an interview, these are all interview questions, right? These are all OLTP, OLAP, these are all interview questions. Yes, even for 5 or 7 or 8 years of experience also, you can expect some questions related to OLAP and OLTP. They'll not ask you what is OLTP and OLAP. Maybe they'll ask you in depth what kind of storage systems are part of OLAP, what kind of storage systems are part of OLTP, how historical trend can be analyzed. So these kind of questions you can expect. For a person with 1 year or maybe up to 4 years of experience, you can expect moreover easy or straightforward questions with OLTP and OLAP differences, right? What amount of data is managed in OLTP, what amount of data is managed in OLAP. So these are the basic questions which you can expect for 5 years or up to 5 years of experience. Okay, now going further, right, we have seen a new word, DBMS, and it is related to OLTP. That means it is database, right? That the information is moreover a small in size compared to data lake and data warehouse. 20 GB is a good amount of data, but comparatively less in size if you compare the very large chunk of data volumes, right? So what is DBMS? DBMS is nothing but how do you manage your database? If you are developing a database, in order to interact with the database, you use a SQL. But there are certain rules and regulations also to manage the database, right? So what rules you have to follow, what rules you have to adhere with, we'll try to understand that. And how do you create a database? That is our primary aim. Once we go through DBMS, what all rules and regulations are, we will see how do you create a database. Right, so just give me a few seconds. I'll open the and let me know once you're able to see it. Now, what is DBMS and what architectural styles are present in DBMS? Right, what architectural styles are present in DBMS? DBMS is nothing but, again, as I've said, it's a management system. How do you manage a database? Right, so it's a database management system for storing, retrieving, or maybe, right, if you're storing some information, if it has to be accessed by 10 people and there are 20 people in that organization, you have to give some restrictions, right? For only 10 people, it should be visible. And that too, which 10 people, right? You have to identify them. So that process of identifying and giving access to appropriate set of people, it is called a security mechanism. Even that security mechanism is part of this database management system. How do you manage the security aspects? Right. So there are 3 types of architectural styles. I mean, architectural style means how the data is stored in the DBMS and how it can be accessed. So there are 3 types of DBMS architectural styles. And if you see, I mean, the names are very straightforward. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. And if you consider this, Tier 1 is very basic. It is not at all used. Tier 2 is one of the frequently used architecture. I mean, it was frequently used few days back. It was frequently used, but nowadays it has reduced. I mean, rarely any company is using. And the last one, which is tier 3, which is frequently used nowadays, you can consider. So tier 2, there are some systems, there are some database management systems, there are some databases who follow this tier 2 architecture still, who still follow, but these are all legacy systems. Maybe going future in the further aspects, they'll try to decommission it and they'll move to the tier 3 architecture. Now, what is tier 1? What is tier 2? I mean, it is not used. That means there is no benefit of going back and understanding them. But if I go to tier 3 architecture, what is tier 3 architecture? Tier 3 architecture looks like this. Now, you'll have a question that what does that tier 3 architecture means? See, server is one component. Client is one component. Now, what is server? Server is your source. Is your source. And what is client? Client is your destination or a person who wants to view, right? Now there is a source, there is a destination. Destination means always this destination will always fetch it from the source. What I want to fetch some information, I want to get this information. But how do they fetch that information? They fetch that information via connectivity between the source and destination. That means user and database. Source is your database. But how do you manage that? How a user wants to connect to that database? It is connected via a communication medium. It is called as server. There is a communication medium, right? Now, if you want to give or if you want to consider this or you want to correlate this example, the best example is your phone. Right now, nowadays the phones are very fast, right? You call your friend, you can, I mean, it will easily connect. And whenever that friend picks up the phone, you can easily communicate with it or communicate with that person. But if you slightly go back to minus 15 years, minus 15 is a very long duration, but still, right? I assume that you people are from a generation where you haven't seen any mobiles in the start of your, maybe when you were a child, right? In your child, you might have not seen that frequent use of mobiles, right? There were some landline phones, right? So how that landline phones used to work? Well, I mean, even today, the same process happens, but it is not visible to us. What is the process? Earlier, when people used to call the other person, right? So he has to create a line, he has to create a communication with the server that I want to connect with a person at so and so time. So that the operator will create a connection and it reaches to the destination. Even today it happens, but nowadays everything is very fast. It is not that slow, right? So if you want to communicate to some other person from your mobile, it reaches a specific tower. From that tower, it gets connected to the tower, to the person which you are connecting. And from there, he will get the notification that some person is trying to call you. So that is how the 3-tier architecture works. There is a person at one end, there is a person at one more end, and in order to communicate between them, there is a connection. So that connection is one more component, that is third component. Source is your database, which is first component. Destination is your user, which is second component. But if that user wants to communicate with the database, there is a connectivity mode that is called as server. That is your third component. So this is how a 3-tier architecture happens. So this is how the 3-tier architecture looks like. Right. So earlier, as I've said, 2-tier. In case of 2-tier, now you have to go back and understand how 2-tier would look like. That is not more important. 2-tier has certain drawbacks. That could be the possible reason they have introduced the 3-tier architecture. Right. So 3-tier, most widely used, and in today's world, that's the only architecture which DBMS supports. There are a few legacy systems which uses 2-tier, but it is of no use. Right. So we will always consider this 3-tier architecture. Now, once the architecture is good, there are different types of management systems, right? I mean, management systems means there are different types of database storage systems. OLAP and OLTP is for analytical data and transactional data. But once you are into transactional data also, there are sub databases. And what these sub databases are, what is hierarchical database, what is network database, what is object-oriented database. And we have seen an example, which is RDBMS, which is relational database. RDBMS. Now, RDBMS is what our primary focus would be. These other databases have a different use case. I mean, not frequently used, totally different use case, but relational databases is what we would be learning more. SQL is our relational database management system. SQL is nothing but a language, right? So wherever you use a SQL language, that database is RDBMS database. Now, there are different types of SQL databases or RDBMS databases. These are different types, right? So if you consider SQL is just a language, right? So Microsoft is one product which uses SQL for their SQL server. Postgre is one product which uses their PostgreSQL in order to create a database. So that these are all RDBMS databases, and the only language which it supports or which it uses to communicate is your SQL, right? So are there only 6 databases RDBMS? No, there are more than 6. But I've only mentioned the 6 important RDBMS sources or databases. Right, now we discussed about data lake. We discussed about data mart, data warehouse. I'll give you a small representation. You can go back and see how the data or what characteristics, what features you can understand from this slide. Right, now this is vice versa. Data lake is at the last, but ideally it should have been kept at the first location. But I've just reversed the position. Right, so you need not get confused again and again that, okay, data lake should always start from left. That is not the case. You have to understand the difference. That's the most important fact, right? Now, just go through the features. Features will give you a better clarity. Right, data volume is low. Data mart volume is also low because similar set of data are arranged together, right? You can easily fetch that. Whereas data volume is medium. And in case of data lake, the data volume is high, totally high. Right, flexibility. Flexibility means how flexible the database or how flexible the data lake is. I mean, database can store few set of records only, right? Data mart, yes, medium. Data warehouse, medium. Flexibility high because you can store any kind of data. You dump any data, data lake will not give you any error. In case of database, it has to be purely structured. It has to be purely structured. You see, structured. Data mart also have kept structured. And as I've said, data warehouse, 70% of the time it is structured. 30% of the time it is unstructured. So 70% means most of the times or moreover, it is structured only. So I kept that option, it is structured. Whereas data lake is totally unstructured or raw. It is totally unstructured or raw. Right, so these are go ahead.
No, that storage part you are anyhow coming, so just I stopped. Yeah. No, what does that centralized and decentralized mean?
Okay, centralized means it is managed by a certain centralized node. It is managed by a certain centralized node. Now, in a database, a person who is owner of the database, he can centrally manage all the database, right? All the tables together. That's how the centralized process is. Now, why data mart is only decentralized? Because multiple data marts can be combined together to form a one centralized system. That's the reason every data mart is decentralized. But if you combine data marts combined together to form one single data warehouse, it is centralized. Even data lake is centralized. Even though the data is purely unstructured, one person can easily manage the data lake using centralized. Centralized. See, there is no as such background feature called as centralized or decentralized. But a person who is managing it, a person who is understanding that flow of information in these storage systems, depending on that, these words have been generated.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, if there are no questions. Now, the process here is how do you download or how do you install any database component in your local system. So in order to interact, right, in order to create a database, you need to have one of the product of SQL, either SQL Server, either PostgreSQL, either MySQL, either MariaDB, either IBM2, which examples which we have seen, right? So you have to have some information or you have to have some database or the framework, right, which can be used to create a database. You have to have that software installed in your system. Now, I mean, from the KSR's point of view, we always suggest MySQL, or many organizations or many even classes would suggest MySQL. Why? Because it is totally free. If you want to use SQL Server, by the time we reach out Azure, you will have a better idea where you can create a SQL Server, which is a paid service. SQL Server is also a database, but it is a paid service. Even IBM DB2 is a database which is also a paid service. It is not open source. The open source database is your MySQL, which is totally free. You can download it and you can easily install it. Right? So how do I download and how do I install that? I've listed down a few steps here. We'll go through that steps, which will give you a better idea. But how do you download? The option here is, let me open and let me give you an idea.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling that MySQL server is the database server, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Microsoft SQL server, which we will be downloading, that one is the database server.
MySQL is different and SQL Server is different. SQL Server is a product of Microsoft. MySQL is a product of Oracle. Oracle means it's a product of Apache. Apache itself is a part of Oracle. Right? There are different organizations who have developed different databases or different servers which can be used to create database. So MySQL is just a server. It's just a communication medium where you can create a database and you write your SQL queries, which can be used to interact with that database. Right. So, I mean, there are paid services, there are free services. Paid services is different, right? Paid services depends on how you are using. MySQL is free. SQL Server is paid. More the amount of data you use, more the users are added, it would be costlier. Now, how do you download this MySQL? It's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you have gone back and checked if you're logging to the KSR website also, where there is a PPT, right? Yesterday we have seen that. There is a PPT for course curriculum, and there will be one more PDF or PPT below, which will give you how to download the MySQL workbench and how to install it in your local system. Maybe I'll show you a small idea. Right, so you can just mention MySQL download. It would open this all the options. Right, so either you go to any of these options. Maybe I'll go to this MySQL downloads. Right, you have these options. In this download option, let me go back. Do I have this installer? Yeah. You go to this installer option. The very first option, MySQL download, MySQL installer. There is this option called as MSI installer. See, the above one is a web edition. Web edition means it will download, but it would connect from a web, which is not recommended. So if you want to use it, if you want to download any server in your local system, it has to be from your own local server, right? So it has to be very big in size because it is installed in your local system. So try downloading this option by the operating system which you want. And it only supports Microsoft Windows and the latest one, 8.0.43. You can download this latest one. If you click on download, that MSI file will be downloaded. Once it is downloaded, you can go back and see, you will get all these options, the same option. This is a older PPT. That's the reason you are able to see the older data sizes, right? It is 8.0.34. Now it is something different, right? It is 8.0.43. Updates are coming, right? Every month or every quarter, you will get some new updates. So once you download that file, right, it will ask you, if you go to this next step, it will ask you, would you like to log in or something? This is not download. This is just the next step after this. If you select on this, it would ask you. So you need not sign up or log in. Just click on no thanks. Just start my download. So once you click on that,
you are downloading the web version, not the
no, not the web version. I'm downloading the below version.
Okay.
The below one, the file which is big in size.
Okay.
Right. So you just click on no thanks. Just start the download. Right. Once you click on that, it would download this file, the MSI file. So you have to double click in the local system. Once that 300 or 330 MB file, 340 MB file is downloaded, you can double click on it. Once you double click on it, this is the first window which you can see. Right. So there will be some change of options. The options will never be same. There will be some change of options. Now, anyone who is parallelly downloading with me, maybe if they want to share a screen, we will go through it. If not, maybe I already have this presentation. I'll follow the same presentation. Anyone who wants to download, or maybe they're okay to share your screen, maybe we'll go through your screen and then let's see how the process happens. Because these options, options will remain same. Only thing is the UI will slightly change. This is minus 6 months, 6 months or 8 months back. This PPT was, prepared. There is slight change of options. And the very first step, it will ask you what type of setup. You always select the setup which is complete, full. Words are same, right? End of the day, because I don't only want server, I only don't want client. I want a combination of everything. So never select custom, never select server or client only. Select full or complete. That means I want to install the complete setup. Right. So once you click on that complete setup, it would start installing the components. This is how the components would be getting started to install. Right. Ready to install, and it will automatically install. Right. You see, this is how it would look. So it would start installing each and every component. Right. So it will take some time. Once everything is done, you will get all the green tick marks. That means everything is completely installed. All the green tick marks identify that everything is completely installed. Now, once that is done, it will give you this window that there is ready to configure option. And if you see, there is a difference, right? You were in the first step, which was choosing the setup. We have chosen that setup, right? Whatever setup I want to download, we have chosen that. Our choosing the setup means full or complete version. Once that is done, in the installation phase, you will come down to the installation step. Once the installation is done, it will come down to the product configuration. It has to configure. Now, as you are installing a server, it will ask you username and password. Right? So it will install this at the last step, product configuration. In the product configuration, you can check what is the product configuration. So once that is done, see here, this step, here it is asking you what should be the username and password. Now, username is by default root. For the MySQL workbench which you are installing, as you are the admin, the username by default will be root. Root means R-O-O-T. It's just a word, root. You have to mention the password here. Now, password should be easily remembered, because every day you open this MySQL workbench, which you have installed, it will ask you what's the password. Username, it will automatically take, because root is the username and you are the admin, right? So you need not create any additional roles. So there is an option below here. If you see MySQL user accounts. Now, what does this MySQL user accounts justify? As you are the owner of that server, that is the reason you will get default username. But if you want to share this MySQL workbench, which is installed in your on-premise, with some other people, you can add their names also. Add user and you can give a password to them, a different password to them, which is not recommended, right? Because you are the only person who are using. So you are the admin of that server. Root will be the username. Password you have to mention very precisely, right? So this password would be asked on every basis whenever you open that workbench, the SQL workbench, right? Once that is done, everything will look, I mean, these are just on options, right? I've kept these options and you have to go to full grant access. You have to give full grant access to that services because you are the administrator. Once everything is done, it will give you these steps. The last step, which is applying all the configuration which you have mentioned, right? So all the configurations it will download and it will start the server. Once that is done, this is how the window will look like. You'll never see username and password because it is not visible. Username is root. You can clearly see this is common for every individual. Username will be root because you are admin of that server. Password is whatever password you have mentioned. Now, once everything is completely installed, you will get a black window, the window console, right? This console will automatically open and this will automatically close. And whenever I open, once the installation is done, how the window will look like, I'll let you know. Because I already have this workbench installed in my system. So once you open that, this is how, every installation is done. This black console, the admin console is getting opened. It will automatically close. This is how the UI will look like. Because this is, from this step, you have to connect to server every time. Now, how do you connect? See, server is running. Root is the username. Localhost 3306 is the port at which the server has been installed. So you have to click on it. Password is whatever password you have mentioned. And once you click on this, it would open the workbench. For you people, all these files will not come because you are a new user. If you already have this workbench installed, you are working on some queries, all these files will come, automatically come. Because as you are a new user, everything would be totally new. You will get a blank page here, but the UI will be almost same. Right, so that's the last step. Once the installation is done, this black window is opened. You will get an option. You have to click on this window. It will ask you username and password. Just you have to click on OK, and it would open that MySQL workbench. This is how the MySQL workbench would look like. Right. So this complete MySQL workbench, I've just opened it at my end. And how do you get, right? It would be completely blank for you. I have multiple files, but it would be completely blank for you people. This is how it will look. It would be SQL file 1 and everything would be completely blank. This is the ideal UI. And now, how do I check whether my server is active or not, right? How do I check? Towards left, you will get these options, schema, and there is this information tab, right? There is this navigator tab and information tab. In the information tab, you will be always in the object info. You just go to this session. Session is where you will get the details. Root is the login user. Password is not mentioned, right? You cannot publicly share the password. And what kind of version is it? What kind of server is it? All the information is kept here. Just move from the object info in the information tab to the session tab. You will get the basic details. Right now, for you people, there will be default schemas. If you go back -1 day, yesterday we discussed there is a physical schema, there is a logical schema. So what is schema? We'll again come back and discuss about it, but these are the schemas. Schemas are nothing but your databases only. It's just a database. And you will be in the schemas option in the navigator. If you go to the administrator option, you will get the options. What is the server status? You just have to click on this. Once you click on this, this is your server. All the information, how is it running? Everything is clearly mentioned. Everything is clearly mentioned. Right. What is the CPU load? What's the traffic? As of now, I'm not writing any queries, but this is how the information is visible. Now, I want to create a database. Default, you will get some default databases installed, like last three. Do not focus on the first few databases. Yeah.
Yeah, can you please show the previous step once?
Which previous step?
That information, that one.
Okay.
That CPU usage, that one.
How to create a user? That is what you're asking.
The information which you showed just now, like the CPU
Okay.
usage.
So you have to go to this administration tab. In the navigator, there are two windows. One is navigator window and you have schemas. One is information window, you have connection details. I mean, you will be in the object info, but you need to go to the session. But if you want to see whether the server is correctly working or not, from the schema option, left side, there is an administration option. Just click on server status. It would open a new tab. And this is how the server status would look like. Right. So you will get some default schemas or databases installed. The last three, Sakila, Sys, and World. Now, these are all the databases. These are all the databases. A database can have multiple schemas. Rather, you can call it as a schema, but in simple terms, schema is nothing but your database. Because schema is what? Skeleton of a database. Now, the big question is, how do I write queries, right? Queries are also most important factor. How do I communicate? How do I create and how do I communicate with that database? Creating database also requires query. You can write a query and you can communicate, right? I want to create a new database. So there are a few databases which are already created. You will get some default databases, the last three, but I want to create my own database. I want to create my own database. How do I create? There is a query to create your own database. There is a query, you can write your, or you can create your own database. Now, just give me a second. Now, where do I write a query? You have to write a query here in this window. Now, how to get that window is, see, you have this ribbon type option here. You have to double click on it. Or else there is an option here, SQL Plus. You just have to click on it. A new file will be open where you can write your queries. Right? File. I mean, I have 19 or 20 files, but for you, it would be SQL file 1, SQL file 2, if you're very new to it, right? So you have to just open these files. Now, accepted, I have my databases, but I want to create my own database. For you people, there will be 3 databases, but I want to create my own database. So how a query is written, and whatever I'm writing, it is just a simple English language. A person who knows a good amount of SQL, including grammar, can be a very good query writer in SQL, because SQL uses that English only to communicate, right? SQL is just a language, but how do you write it? Using this the English words only, right? So I want to create a database. So create database, and whatever database name I want. Maybe I want to create KSR info. This is the database name. Now, if I've written a query, how do I run this query, right? If you write something, you have to run it. You have to understand. I mean, how do you communicate with the server that I want to create this? You have to communicate, you have to run that query. How to run that query? You have these options, right? Execute statement under keyboard cursor. So use this option, the first option. And if you see in the output tab, below is the output tab. Below will be the output tab. In the below tab, you will be able to see whether the query successfully ran or there is an error. It ran means it will give you a green tick mark. If there is an error, it will give you a cross red mark. So I have created a database. But where is that, right? It is not visible here, right? There is an option called as refresh here. You see there is an upward and downward arrow, small option. You have to click on it. Once I use this refresh, you can see there is a database which is getting created, KSR info. This is the database name. Now, once you create a database, I know that there are multiple databases which are present, but whatever I will be creating inside this database, it has to be in the same database only. So what you have to do, you have to use one more query called as select. Select. Now, what is select? I want to select this, right? Select KSR info. And if I run this, what is this? What you have selected? Select KSR info. But what is KSR info, right? It is a database. So let me write database and let me run this. Again, there is an error, right? Again, there is an error. Now, just to make sure how error looks like, I've shown you these options. If it is succeeded, it will give you a green tick mark. If it is failed, it will give you a red tick mark. But I have created a database, whatever I want to create inside. Maybe I want to create a table. That table should be created inside the same database only. How that SQL server will, or the MySQL server will understand, you have to use a keyword called as use. You have to use a keyword called as use. So I'll mention use. I want to use this database. Again, error, right? Again, error. So if you're very new to this MySQL server, errors are very common. Errors are very common. So you used to, you should be used to get this errors, how to rectify them. How to rectify them. You should get used to that. How to rectify them. I know that there is a database called as KSR. But how do I use that? How do I use that? So whatever I want to create, you are inside this database. You see, there is this black color, which is bold. That means you are inside this database. So how to create? Create statement is very straightforward. Create what you are creating a database. And you should give a name. You want to create anything inside that database, you have to use a command called as use the name of that database. You need not mention use database again. You mention the name of database directly. Now, there are different languages. SQL is only one language, but in that, there are different sub-dialects, right? If you're speaking some language, maybe I'm speaking English. Indian English is different. American English is different. The European or maybe more specifically, UK English is totally fluent. It is different. Whether the other European countries like Germany, France, they have the different fluency in English. So every country, end of the day, if person is speaking English, that's fine. But the dialects are different, right? So within the SQL also, there are different dialects. Now, what is that dialect? Dialect, you can call it as, there is a language called as DDL. There is a language called as DML. These are sub-dialects. DML. There is a language called as DQL. There is a language called as TCL. Now we will discuss what these languages are. L stands for language. The last L for all these components, all the short forms which I've mentioned stands for language. D stands for data. Data, data, data. The first three Ds. T stands for transaction. Now we will discuss what is the middle word. Middle word, if I discuss it now, you will get confused. Maybe in tomorrow's session, we can again go back and understand how these dialects are interrelated to each other. But in order to understand these different dialects, we need to understand what is DDL. I mean, why these dialects are required. Why these DDL, DML, DQL, TCL, why these components are required in a particular language. So, I mean, you take just an example, right? Maybe you want to communicate with a person. Let's suppose a person is totally new to you, or you have joined a new company. Just an example. You have joined a new company. Today is your day one. In case of day one, I mean, whether you directly visit a person and you directly ask them that, okay, I want to maybe even you are very new to this company, you don't know what is going on. You cannot directly visit any person, maybe directly ask them that I want so and so information, right? You start an information using certain communication, right? I'm very new to this company. I just wanted to get some insights, or just wanted to get some info where this information can be captured, where this information can be gathered. You ask it in a very polite manner, but you try to have a communication with that person because he's totally new to it. Same way, if you are very new to a language, you should have some decorum, right? You should maintain that. Look, I want to communicate with this SQL using certain rules, using certain regulations. So that rules and regulations are defined inside these languages. So you want to create a new table inside a database. How do you create? You cannot directly ask, right? You have to understand how it can be created. It can be created with the help of DDL language. You want to create a new table. But once the table is created, that means you are used to that database. But you have to insert records into that database, right? Let's suppose you joined a company today and you worked, maybe today is very new, right? So you will be interacting with all the new people as in a very polite manner. I mean, it doesn't mean that after 10 days you will not communicate with them in a polite manner, but you are used to them. You already, have had a communication with them since last 10 days. So you can, friendly go back and ask them that this is what I want. You cannot ask them directly on the first day, right? So the same way, SQL also, it's a language, right? So you have to deal it with very politely. First, understand how these concepts are. And then you can, once you're getting used to it, you can directly ask a SQL that I want to do so and so information. It will interact with you. Right? So what is DDL? DDL is a data definition language. What I want to define. DML is a data manipulation language. Now we will discuss more about them in tomorrow's session, but just to give you an idea, what to define and what to, once it is defined, what to insert in it. Right? You have created a table. Without table, you cannot insert records, right? Records means your values. So there has to be a table. How to create a table that will be mentioned in the DDL. How to add records to that table that would be mentioned in the DM. And once the table is created, once the records are added, how do you call that records? That is mentioned in the DQL. So different perspective for different languages. These are some dialects. This I'm not calling as a language. This is some dialects of SQL. Right? So we'll go through all this, but for today's session, what I've clearly mentioned is how to download MySQL, what is OLAP, OLTP, what is DBMS, what is three-tier architecture, and how to download and create a data. We have downloaded a server. This is a workbench. Workbench is where you write your queries. I've shown you how to check the server status, how to open this new file. Now go back and create a new database. Once you download this, use that database. From tomorrow's session, we would be seeing an additional insights, how to create a table, how to interact, how to insert records in that table, how to fetch the records from the existing table. All this we'll try to communicate from tomorrow. Right? So we're almost good with time. It's almost 9:22. As I've said, I always give last 10 or 15 minutes as a buffer. So again, I am open for questions. Prior jumping to questions, just give me a few minutes, maybe 1 minute or um, again, if you want to go back and check previous day recordings, you visit our website, you try to click on sign in, it would go back to the sign in option. You can sign in here. And there are few things which I would like to highlight. Having been said, we would also have non-technical sessions like a resume preparation, interview preparation, what is agile methodology. I mean, how domains, right? Domain knowledge sessions that would be over and above what we have or what we will be covering with this course. Along with that, there is one more thing which you can understand is if you visit our website, if you scroll down, there is an option here, AI interview. Now, what is this AI interview? There is an option called as AI interview. There is a mentioning, right? A mentioning of AI interview. We have a specific app here. Just checking where do we get that? If you have your mobiles, maybe you can open your mobiles. There is an app in Play Store which you can download. It's a interview hub. I mean, it's a AI app where you can give your
Ritesh, I'll
interviews.
tell you. You can type AI interview hub in Google.
Hmm. AI interview.
Hub. No. You can type without spaces. AI interview hub.
Okay.
The first one. Yes, that's.
Hmm. Are you sure is it the one, Suparna?
Yes, it is the one. You can do it in Google Chrome because it is just
Okay,
take
okay.
the URL.
Hmm. Okay, so just once you type this AI interview hub, you will get this option. This, I mean, it's a product of KSR. It is developed by KSR, right? So it's a paid app, but I mean, this would be given for people who are very active from the KSR send as a compliment, right? Once you attend frequent sessions, you are very active, right? You're proactive, you're doing all the assignments, all the processes you are following. For few of you, you would get this. I mean, anyways, you can test it also without some, you can just log in and test it as well. But it is a paid app, mostly a paid app. All the services are mostly paid. So you will have some resume recommendations. All these options are available, or maybe you can watch this demo. So for few people who are very proactive in all the sessions, for you it would be complimentary. And again, as it's a finished product. It was in development few months back, maybe 2 months or 3 months back also, but it's a finished product now. Mostly all the features are available, right? So this would help you to give own interviews with the AI itself. It will have some assignments also, some MCQs also. It will analyze your resume. Resume analysis is also externally done. You need not worry on that part, but this is a finished product. It's an application which automatically does all these processes. right? So this is one additional feature which you will be getting, but you have to be very proactive, right? And one more important concept which we are following, I have said from the day one itself, that is on Monday, that you have to have a target of next 100 days, right? We didn't started it on Monday, we started it yesterday. So today's day 2. So just I'm tracking that how you people will target. Today's day 2. I mean, we will only go through the sessions on whichever day the sessions will be. I'll try to calculate that days, and Saturday and Sunday in betweens we'll try to calculate it as one day. Saturday one day, Sunday one day. No, we'll try to calculate that weekend as one single day. So 5 days of a week, Monday to Friday 5, and Saturday, Sunday will be 6, right? So we will follow this. We'll follow this approach. Today is day 2. So within next 100 days, by the time we reach the day 100, you will be a good data analyst with all the skills. The only thing which you have to consider is you are following all the sessions, you are going through all the assignments. Not every person is possible to do on everyday basis. You will be busy, right? Some would be working professionals, some would be completing their colleges, someone would be busy with their internal work. But end of the week, you have to join that pace. You have missed 2 sessions. By end of this particular week, by Saturday or Sunday, you have to join with the same pace. That is what our target is, right? And again, if you log into this website, how to access this? Number of devices exceeded. Suparna, are you able to log in?
Just give me a moment. Let me check and tell you. Let me open my Chrome.
Now, the PDF which I've shared, right, MySQL installation PDF, this PDF is also available along with the recordings, right? You can see yesterday's, a day before yesterday's recording also. You will have that course curriculum PDF and you will have that MySQL installation PDF.
No, I'm also getting the same error.
Okay. Maybe we have to send. Okay, that's fine. There is one thing which you again have to consider is whenever you are using this KSR app, there is a restriction. A restriction in the sense, this is not a restriction. It is more a kind of security which we have used. Security is what? You can use two devices at a time. That means if you are using one laptop, you can use one more laptop or one mobile. You can download, there is a KSR mobile app from the App Store, or iOS App Store also, Apple iStore also, and from the Google Play Store also. So either you can use one laptop, one mobile, or two laptops or two mobiles, but at a time. If you want to use third device, you have to log in any of these devices. Log out. If you're using second mobile device, right? I have one laptop, one mobile, I want to use one more mobile. You have to log out from one of the laptop or the existing mobile to use that third device. At that time, two active devices will be there. So parallelly, there cannot be more than two active devices. If you are getting this error, right, that you have exceeded number of, the error which I've got, number of allowed devices exceeded, this is a very common error. But again, as I've said, if you are frequently using multiple devices, please refrain using them. If you, by chance, mistakenly you have logged in, you are not able to log in, the number of devices exceeded, right? It is asking you to send an email, right? support@DataVision. You can send an email. Within few minutes, they'll unblock. You can log in it again, right? This is just for a security purpose we have kept, because people will log in 3 or 4 devices and they'll confuse themselves. So I don't want people, or maybe we don't want people to get logged in into multiple devices. 2 devices at a time is what we have given. At a time, you can log off any device and you can log into the other device. That is totally free. That's totally available. Right? Any questions? Today is day 2. We will track all these days because this target is of 100 days. Within 100 days, you have to be a very good data analyst. That we will definitely assure. Now, open for questions. Satish, would you like to share your screen or maybe something like that?
Yeah, sure. I will share my screen.
Okay, you can share your screen.
Is it visible?
I guess you are sharing your mobile.
Yes, yes. Is it not possible to move?
I guess mobile is not that accurate.
Actually, I'm
Fine. That's fine. There is nothing as such we can discuss on sharing. That's fine. Maybe I already shown them how to log into the website and how to use the website also. Right. So you can log in, you can create an account, you can log in. This PPT which I've shared steps to install, you will get that PPT along with the recordings towards left in the lessons option, not in the class records. Now, any other questions if anyone has? Or maybe anyone who's attending for the first time today. Don't know what we would be covering, what technical skills we would be covering, any questions like that?
Hi Ritesh, I was actually trying to install the MySQL on my system, and I was getting a step which is not mentioned in the presentation. Can you please help
Can
me?
you share your screen? Maybe I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
What SQL language we will be using? There is only one language called a SQL language. There are products in SQL like MySQL, SQL Server. So ours would be mostly MySQL. I also will cover the difference between MySQL and the SQL Server. So you need not worry on that part because SQL Server will be part and parcel of Azure because it's a paid service. Yeah, authentication method. Can you scroll down? There is no option, right? Use legacy method, retain. Yeah, you click on next. There is no use strong password. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Any other questions? I mean, again, I've said if any question is you feel that it's a silly question, even it's a valid question because you are very new to the SQL or very new to the data analyst, that could be the possible case. Any questions? Okay. Silence, I'm assuming it as no. I mean, there will be questions, but if you feel you're not able to communicate now, maybe you can write it down. Maybe you cannot recall it. You can write it down and you can ask it in tomorrow's session. We'll go through that again in detail. Having been said, you will encounter or you will come across some basic errors while installing this MySQL workbench. Be calm while installing this because installing MySQL is very straightforward. It is not that difficult. The only thing is you have to be patient. I mean, you have to keep you keep calm and I mean check all the steps. It would be easily installed.
And will there be any group, like a separate group, like
Yeah.
whoever is joining
Once
this?
these sessions are done, once you're enrolling, there will be a WhatsApp group.
Okay.
All the communication would be done via WhatsApp group only. Every batch will have a different group, right? So we will be sharing some assignments in the group itself, so and maybe along with the recording. So if you have any questions, also you can ask them in the group itself, right? So that's how the communication happens.
Okay. And regarding that payment or how to, we can speak to Satish.
Okay, good. So regarding payment, right? If you're visiting our website, just a moment. Let me again see. If you log into our website, once you enroll for the course, you will get option, right? Once you click on enroll now. For now, I mean, anything related to payment, the best option, the way is always communicate with our team. They'll help you how to make a payment. From the website, from the app also, you can make a payment, or there is an offline mode of payment. So always reach out to KSR team. Might be Satish, it might be Mahesh, it might be anyone from the KSR team. Definitely, they'll help you how to make a payment and proceed further.
And Fabric also you will teach from basics, right? Because we are new to Fabric.
Fabric is a combination of multiple services. So whatever a data analyst has to know, everything we would be covering. Power BI itself is a part of Fabric. And the reason, again, maybe someone would also have few questions that how come 30K, like the course fees is 30K. If you make a single payment, there is a discount. That is for sure. But maybe I'll consider 30K only. Why 30K? We will give you a license of 2 months for the Microsoft Fabric. It's a paid license and it's a premium license. Fabric also, along with that, Microsoft Power BI. So that license, premium per user, nowadays, earlier it used to cost PPU, premium per user. Earlier it used to cost $20 per month per user. Now it has changed to $24. Now, assuming that 80 is the dollar rate, Indian rupees, 24 into 80. Now you have to understand, right? Let me calculate. Right, 24 into 80. This is for 1 month. You have to multiply it by 2. So we are paying almost 4,000 out of this 30K for the licenses, which you will get. You need not pay extra for it. It is part and parcel of this course. Right? Some 3,800 or 3,900 we are paying from the KSR's pocket. You will get that 2 months license. You need not activate that license once we directly start with Power BI, because wherever that license is required, whenever it is required, I'll let you know, you can activate it. License will be given from the Power BI sessions, but I mean, you need not activate it from the day one, right? By the time we reach out to Power BI service or Fabric, then you can activate it. So all that would be explained in detail going further. But just to make sure that 30K includes that license cost. That's the reason it is 30K. If you make one-time payment, there is a discount. If you make 2 installments also, there will be a small discount. But if you are trying to make 3 installments, there won't be any discount. 3 installments is 10, 10, 10. Right? So KSR team will be best. They'll always suggest you whatever option is best suitable for you. I mean, depending on your flexibility, they'll also help you how to make a payment, right? So you need not worry on that. But any questions related to payment, feel free to connect with the team. Yep. Any other questions?
Ritesh, I had one question for me. So honestly, I don't come from a computing background. So whenever we use the term server, does that always means a virtual storage?
Virtual storage. Okay. Virtual storage means, see this. I mean, cloud itself is a virtual. You cannot physically see the cloud, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So virtual storage is nothing but your cloud. What you store, it's all virtual, right?
So what exactly we mean when we use the term server?
Server is nothing but a connection node, right? So if you want to connect to cloud, how do you connect? There should be some communication way, right? That server is a communication.
Okay.
Any other question? So if you're using, or maybe if you're considering to use this AI tool, right? The AI hub, the AI interview hub. This AI interview hub, there will be 3 attempts which would be free for everyone, which will be totally free. But for the people who are very proactive, that for few of you, you will get this AI interview hub totally free. Not even 3 attempts, more than 3.
And Ritesh, for that you have to mark, like whoever is present, you have to mark it, right? But yesterday I joined the class, it's showing absent in this class record dashboard.
It is not related to present or absent. I can check the progress, right?
And
Personally.
I'm just saying that
Okay,
yesterday
okay.
I joined
So
this
that,
class,
that
but
that doesn't matter a lot. That doesn't matter a lot. I am not expecting that every person should be present in every session every day. That is not the case. That is not just a criteria, right? There are different other criteria also who is more proactive. I'm not saying any attendance. I'm just saying proactive. Proactive means, I mean, I've seen people who are attending daily sessions, but they'll not do the assignments. They're not up to the mark. That is not the case, right? So people should be very proactive. Means you are engaging with the other people. Maybe you are also going through assignments, assessments which are given. That is more a kind of proactiveness. Attendance, even I never consider that as a factor. Okay, if there are no questions, we're almost more than 15 minutes. Right? Let's try to connect tomorrow with the same continuity of SQL. Right? So we will be starting with that dialects, right? The languages which are present within that SQL, the MySQL workbench. We'll go through them. If you have any other questions, feel free to write it down and maybe we can connect tomorrow. You can ask it in tomorrow's session. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day ahead. Let's connect back tomorrow.
you too have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.